FM Pro. Hoy conoceremos al Reverendo Barber, quien nos hablará sobre el ejercicio del derecho de voto para las próximas elecciones y sobre el aumento de la pobreza en nuestro país. Quédate en nuestro programa Nuestras Historias.
30% of white people, 66 million. Black people are 40% higher in terms of percentage, but there are 40 million more white people that are poor and low wealth in raw numbers. Then COVID hit. And then we fought for it, we pushed it, we got some things produced during COVID that lowered the poverty numbers to 112 million. We found out what we've been saying is we can eradicate poverty. You have to invest in programs that work. 40% of the U.S. population is poor and low wealth. Walk with me. 61% of Latinos, 59% of Native American Indigenous, 55% of Black people, 36% of Asians, 32% of white people. But in the raw numbers, poor and low wealth white people are still the highest number. And the real face of poverty is white women with children. That's right. Exactly. Now work production has gone up. Prices have gone up. That's right. Politicians' pay has gone up. Yeah. Profits have gone up. But the bottom line is, and during COVID in 2021, we had worked hard, you had worked hard. We had fought to get $15 an hour into the political debate. You all remember it was being discussed in the 2020 election. And then we fought hard to get it on the floor. I remember one night staying up almost all night pushing members in the House to make sure that they passed it. They got it passed. They passed it in the House. Then they sent it to the Senate. And we were all, okay, this is it. Democrats got the majority. Do this. Everybody's got to keep a living wage. 70% of Americans want a living wage. They want a raise. And then 8 Senate Democrats who call themselves moderates. Yet in 2017, the tax cuts that Trump pushed, 748 U.S. billionaires are now $2.2 trillion richer. There are 400 families that make an average of $92 an hour. You know what I'm talking about. Healthcare. As we sit in here tonight, the reason we've got to mobilize this sleeping giant, I'm going to talk about in a minute, is because 80 million Americans plus are uninsured or underinsured. 15 million people are expected in March, in a few days, to lose their Medicaid expansion because we're ending the pandemic protection. What kind of morality lifts people up and then throws them down? 105 million people don't have paid family leave. 46 million people can't buy safe drinking water. They can buy unleaded gas and can't buy unleaded water. 1 in 5 families can't afford to pay at least one energy bill. And when you look at militarism in 2023, the federal government spent $1.1 trillion on war and weapons and law enforcement and mass incarceration and deportation and detention. Our military budget now is more than the next 10 countries combined. That's right. If we cut our military budget in half today, we would still have more money than Russia, North Korea, Iran, Iraq, and China combined. Amen. And just 10% of that military budget going toward things that work could pay for 9.8 million public housing units and give health care to 18 million adults. Somebody. And it's not just macro, it's micro. Right here in North Carolina, 3.5 million poor and low-wage eligible voters are in this state. 41% of this state's population are poor and low wage. 41%. Between 2020 and 2023, North Carolina state lawmakers, the extremists, introduced 22 voter restrictive bills. 22. Between 2018 and 2020, 4.2 million North Carolinians were poor and or low wage, and so, I don't care. And yet, this state assembly has made it easier to get a gun than to get food. Both U.S. senators in this state voted against living wages. Both of them voted against 320,000 people in this state. 372,000 people in North Carolina are expected to lose Medicaid by March 2024. 4 million workers, 78% of North Carolina's workforce do not have paid leave. Right now, unstable housing among families with children costs us $1.11 billion a year. Hunger costs us $160 billion a year. Public assistance, we spend $153 billion as a result of low wages. If we paid folk what they deserve and not just gave corporate welfare, people would have money to buy food. They wouldn't need public assistance.
That's right. That's right.
Mass incarceration costs us $179 billion a year. Our broken immigration system. We ought to have the best immigration system in the world since all of us are immigrants, except for the Native Americans. I mean, really. And it ought to be easy down in Mexico since people from Mexico aren't coming to our country, they're coming home since we stole Texas and New Mexico and California. Our government has spent $21 trillion on war. Our climate, refusing to fix the climate is going to cost us eventually $3.3 trillion a year if we can maintain being alive. For every $1 per hour that wages rise among workers in the bottom 60% of earners, spending on government assistance falls by $5.2 billion. So immorality in public policy is just bad, it's foolish, it's insane, and somebody has got to do something about the somebodies that are doing it. And here's the third thing. Somebody can do something. Poor and low-wage voters make up nearly 40% of the electorate. And there's not a state in the battleground states where if you could organize 20% of poor and low-wage voters around an agenda, that they could not mess up all the political calculus. See, they're folk in this country, they want us this year to have a political vote. We need a movement vote.
That's right. Movement.
A movement vote that messes up the political calculus. And don't let your mind say, it ain't gonna happen. People, no. We had 15 presidential debates in the last president, 140 million people in poverty, and not 10 minutes was spent on that issue. Nobody talks to them. They don't hear their issues. And so they're not red or blue. They just tune out. They're trying to survive.
Yes, that's right.
Nobody talks to them.
Yes.
The last time a presidential candidate really went in a poor community was when Lyndon Baines Johnson went to Harlan, Kentucky. Harlan County, USA. East Kentucky, up in Appalachia, all around there. And it changed that whole election outcome. The reality is, poor and low-wage voters, we did another study called Wake Up and Sleeping Giant, is the only place you can expand the electorate in this country. And it's the place where the stones that the builders rejected are the very stones that can become a cornerstone of a new reality.
That's right.
Poor and low-wage voters, the sheer size and the sheer size and the vote share of low-income voters means we've got to pay attention to this. There's not a state in this country where 30% of poor and low-wage voters, not 40%, not 50%, not 60%, just 30% could not fundamentally shift. Like the 10% at that time in North Carolina could change political outcomes. There's somebody who can do something. And poor and low-wage voters, along with moral and religious people, the people who are not necessarily faith, but people who are activists and who believe in right, if we get together around a million people that are out there, number one reason they're not voting is nobody talks to them. I suggest we need to start talking to them.
That's right.
Right? And we need to say to folks, if people aren't talking to you in a democracy, you can make them talk to you, but you got to show your power to let them know that you will not be silent or ignored. There were 1.9 million eligible poor and low-wage voters in Wisconsin. 645,000 did not vote. The margin of victory was 20,000. Now, don't you be ugly toward those people. Don't you call them names.
That's right.
Because a lot of them, as I said, they turned out, they've been hurt, they've been traumatized.
Yes.
I understand trauma.
Yeah.
And if you all have ever been so hurt you couldn't talk. And if you ever been so hurt you just went somewhere by yourself.
That's right.
But aren't you glad when somebody came and found you and lifted you up and brought you back?
That's right.
It's time to bring back that sleeping giant. Did you know that in Pennsylvania there were 3.3 million poor and low-wage voters in 2020? 1.2 million didn't vote. The margin of victory was 40,000. Did you know down in Florida there was some 4 million poor and low-wage voters? Some 2 million didn't vote. And the election for governor was decided by less than 20,000 votes. Some of these politicians, we need to say, keep running your mouth while we vote and send your butt home. That's what we need to say. Because a lot of them are selling a wolf ticket. They are not that strong. We just got to wake up this power. And North Carolina. Can I talk to North Carolina?
Talk to us.
In 2020, there were 3,464,000 eligible poor and low-wage voters. 1.179 million didn't vote. The margin of victory was only 170,000 votes. And in 2016, it was 920,000. That means that in North Carolina, if we just organize 18%,
18%.
it's 18.6%, so round it off to 19%.
19%.
If we just go get 19% around an agenda, we can outdistance any margin of victory in the last 3 presidential election cycles. I suggest that while other people are talking and ignoring us, they're talking about the middle class and the wealthy, we ought to let them do the talking and we do the organizing. We ought to come together and ask the question, can these bones live? And then we ought to answer, yes they can. And let me just suggest this for the record, we don't even have to like each other.
That's right. That's right.
You don't have to like everything about William Barber. You don't have to like everything about that brother. You don't have to like everything. We don't have to like everything about everybody. But can we love justice? Can we love righteousness? Can we love living wages? That's what I'm talking about. An agenda. Can we come together around an agenda to save this democracy and make a democracy worth saving? You know, an agenda that says we are voting to abolish poverty, as the fourth lady calls it. Can we come together around that? Can we come together around a living wage of at least $15 an hour indexed with inflation? Can we come together around an agenda full and expanded voting rights? Can we come together around an agenda no more voter suppression? Can we come together around an agenda guaranteed workers' rights and labor union rights? Can we come together around an agenda health care for all? Can we come together? I know you're white, I know I'm black, I know I'm from the east, I know I'm from the west, but can we come together around health care for all?